Hi, everybody. Hi, Daddy-o. Let's get right into it. Transgenders. I don't believe them. What? How could you possibly say that? It's easy. I don't believe them. I do not believe that a man can say, I know what it means to be a woman, or a woman can say, I know what it means to be a man. I call bullshit, and I'm sick and tired of people pretending that they know what they're talking about. And I want to lay out a little bit of a case. And if you think that I'm wrong, feel free to comment below. Tell me how I'm wrong. If you think that there's some decent points being made, all I ask you to do is listen with an open mind. I'm going to try and lay it out as succinct as possible. So, one thing that I hear a lot from the left is talking about my lived experience. This is my truth, or a shared lived experience. What does it mean to be a man? And I started thinking about, if you take out the biology component, if you take out anatomy, if you take out genitals, there isn't one. There isn't anything that unifies all men under an umbrella. Some men are tall, some men are short. Some men are strong, some men are weak. Some men are very smart, some men are dumb as shit. Some men are straight, some men are gay, some men are white, some men are black. There is nothing that unifies all men together except dicks. That's it. And in the words of my buddy Biggie, if you don't know, now you know. But what does it matter? What does having that male genitalia matter when it comes to lived experience? A lot, actually. Take any man from any part of the globe, and they will have shared lived experiences based on dicks. It's a fact. Any man over the age of, let's go 15, is going to have some form or another of an awkward boner story. Happens to everybody, every man gets it. That is a shared lived experience that unites all men under one umbrella. And you say, okay, well, so what? Women have awkward period stories. I'm sure you do. And that's similar, but it ain't the same thing. It's similar in the fact that it is an embarrassing situation, that it might draw attention to you. But it ain't the same damn thing. Because an erection has that added component of sexual arousal. And that's a pretty big added component, whether it's real or not, because as any man will tell you, that ain't always the case. Especially when you're young, the wind could blow the wrong direction and you're up like a tent. Okay? But if you're in the wrong social situation, people are going to have that opinion that you are sexually aroused, whether it's true or not. Every man's got that awkward boner story. Every man can remember sitting in school and maybe getting a peek out of the corner of their eye that old Mary Jane has the top of her thong showing out. And all of a sudden, everything starts happening. T-minus 10, we got liftoff, and once liftoff happens, it ain't coming back down. And then right then, old Mr. Phelps, science teacher, tells you it's time to come up to the class and go ahead and read out of the book. And you say, no, Mr. Phelps. Can't help you, sir. And he says, no, I need you to come up here and read. And you say, no, I ain't moving. Because we got ourselves a situation down here. There's no woman who understands that. And so when I hear women say, well, I know what it's like to be a man. No, you don't. You don't know what that's like. All right, let's give another one. Stage fright. Men don't like to talk about this a whole lot. Once you're probably over the age of 25, maybe 30, it's happened. And maybe it's only happened once, and maybe you don't like talking about it. But at some point, if it ain't happening, it's gonna. The mind is willing, but the flesh is unable. It happens. This is a unique problem to men, and only men. Women, there is never a time where your vajayjay don't work. It's open 24/7 for business, as long as you consent. And we're talking about consensual here, but there's never a time it ain't gonna be able to perform. Men have this. You'll never understand that fear and anxiety and the stress of looking down at a dead dick going, what the hell is going on? Wake up! And you start smacking it around. Or you don't smack it around. But anyway, when I hear women say, I identify as a man, I say, really? Tell me about this. Tell me about this time this happened to you. No? No, you don't know what that's like? Because you're a woman. Because you're not a man. Because we're different. You'll never understand what this is like. What about the old quick trigger? Once again, something men don't like to talk about a whole lot. But it happens. Every man likes to step up to the gates praying he's some Ethiopian about ready to run a marathon, and once in a while a Jamaican sneaks in and you Usain Bolt that bitch. 11 seconds, boom, it's done. This is a unique problem to men. Ain't no woman ever had an orgasm inside of 60 seconds and a man look down at her and go, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? What in the hell's wrong with you? No. If a woman came in 60 seconds, you got a man beating his chest like a damn gorilla thinking he's king of the jungle. He probably didn't do it. It's probably something else. She was thinking about something else, but that's okay. We're different because of this. No woman will ever understand that feeling. Now, you might have been on the other side of that. You might have been on the receiving side of that. And if you have been, I apologize. I have apologized before. It happens. Don't like it to happen, but it happens. Start playing mental tricks with ourselves, trying to make it last a little longer. Sometimes I start looking around the room and trying to spell things. Get your brain off of what's going on below. Looking at a pillow. Pillow. Curtain. Oh, shit, curtain. Curta. Curtain. And then you look down and you go, oh, damn it. It's done. Yeah, we did our best. Search the entire globe. Every man is going to understand that. Every man's going to have a story somewhat similar. Every man will have a shared, lived experience when it comes to these things. And no woman will ever understand. And the same thing goes with women. There's no man can ever tell me he knows what it's like to be a woman. And I ain't saying that you need to hate people. This isn't about hate. And I ain't saying you're afraid of people. This isn't about fear. This isn't a phobia. It's time to call bullshit. Say you don't know what you're talking about. You identify as a woman. Really? Explain that. Tell me one time someone is physically or been able to logically explain that. They can't. And there's no test. There's no objective truth to this. It's all subjective. These are feelings we're talking about. But you can't challenge that. You're not allowed to ask questions. You're not allowed to say, hey, I don't think you're telling the truth right now. I just heard a study that said over 20% of teenagers are now identifying as trans or non-binary. 20%. if you look at gender dysphoria, it affects like 0.01% of the population. The medical definition of gender dysphoria. So how do we get to 20%? Is it possible that it's a social contagion? Is it possible that these young girls and these young boys are following a fad or a trend or just trying to get attention or trying to piss off their parents? Because we all did that when we were kids. Every one of us. You know, for me growing up in the 80s into the 90s, some of us, we did some piercings. Tattoos started coming out in the mid 90s. Dyed hair. You know, you can go back to the 80s. Hair was always a big one. You go all the way back to the 60s and the mop tops and the Beatles and the raggedy hairs, and the 70s and just the bell bottoms. I don't know if that really pissed off parents, but everybody's always followed a trend and they've followed a fad. And that's what this is right now. But all of a sudden, it's like we got to take them at their word. We got to believe 8th graders, 6th graders, 3rd graders, kindergartners, that they know how they feel. This is how they identify. It's time to call bullshit. It's time to call bullshit on the whole thing. And one thing that I get a lot is, well, why does it affect you? How does this bother you? Why can't you just go along with it? Why can't you just say, well, whatever you want to do, I'm cool with? Because it is affecting society and it is affecting other people. And it's time to stop pretending that it isn't. Right now in California, there are over 1,100 men that identify as women in prison. Over 350 of them have requests in right now to transfer into women prisons. Over 150 of them have been accepted and are now currently in women's prisons. These are men with male genitalia locked up with women. Some of them locked up for sexual battery and sexual assault against women. And we want to pretend like this isn't a social problem, that this isn't a societal problem? We can't talk about this? I think earlier this week, 2 women in New Jersey are pregnant in prison. In an all-women's prison, 2 women got pregnant. Holy Lord, hallelujah, it's immaculate. No, it's a woman with a dick. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. There's no chicks with dicks, there's just men with tits. Fact. Okay? So, these are just my opinions, obviously. These are my ideas. Would love to hear your thoughts and comments below. Anyway, hi Daddy-O, and I'm out.